Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the second episode of the Warped Eye podcast.
In this episode, we will start off with the question, what if you could live for 200 years? Then we will debate the death penalty and then go on to talking about tips for balancing your life. And finally, we will discuss a very interesting debate that will remain undisclosed unless you get to the final segment of this episode.
All right, so let's get into it. First off, what if you could live for 200 years?
I think it depends if your aging is proportional to how long you live. Cause if it's not, and you just become this creaky old bag of bones by the time you're 100, that's only half your life. So for the latter half of your life, you'll have a lot of physical problems and you wouldn't be able to do stuff. So I think that would be very unpleasant. You'll just be in bed with disease unless you're some robust individual and you are feeling awesome at 100 years old.
Wow, that would be interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. But even if life was proportional to your aging, like the 200 years was, you'd have to be in annoying periods of your life for incredibly long periods of time.
Well,
Imagine being a teenager for 20 years.
You wouldn't be able to call that a teenager.
Gosh, oh my God. But you'll be in if your aging was proportional to that, then you'd be growing at such a slow rate. The first I don't know, 30 years of your life will just be from the time you are how to describe this? I do not know how to describe this. It's
childhood?
Yeah, your childhood, I mean, not really childhood. It's your entire young adulthood, childhood plus young adulthood would be so long. You won't really be able to do much in it because your brain hasn't developed. You'll just kind of be chilling there. How much can you do? It's kind of sad that way until you get to a certain age.
You can drain your parents' bank account.
Yes, you can. Money, that's another thing I haven't really thought of, because then you need way more savings. I mean, you'd also live longer, so you'll be able to save more, I guess.
Yeah, but technically you still only have 24 hours in a day. You just have more days.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
you have
know.
more years to work.
Oh, yeah. But if people still became adults at 18, even if they live 200 years, then when you first enter the working industry, the higher ups, there's gonna be people who have 100 years more experience than you.
Oh gosh, that sounds terrible.
Right? They can totally crush you. You're just a very small bug, you don't know anything. And the generation gaps are gonna be so huge.
I mean, also you'd be, if you still became an adult at 18 years old, you'd have the maturity level of an 8-year-old.
Right? That's scary.
If the aging was proportional, because then, yeah, you'd be able to still have the knowledge, but do you have the street smartness in a way? You'd still have the brain of an 8-year-old. So you'd be able to retain, learn new information faster, but your attention span will be way shorter. And there's a lot of things that will be detrimental to you in the working world,
Yeah, it would probably be a lot more competitive because there's so many generations in it all at once. And I feel it would be harder for a newer idea to get understood by the older generation because their childhood was 100 years ago. That's very different.
Their generations will be longer. If aging was proportional, then like like our generation is probably like they're every 30 years ish, you know,
Oh.
but their generations would probably be every 60-ish years. So like the generation,
Oh.
because the aging so technically if you're going under the assumption that the aging is proportional, then there's that. And if life was that long and the aging was proportional, then we'd get nothing done. Because like I mean, not everyone, even in the life that we're living in now, so many people like waste like at least a decade or two of their life. And just imagine how long it would take for people to get out of that mindset if we had more than double the lifespan that we have now.
Oh my
And
God.
like I like the uncertainty of a shorter life. Like it makes life more interesting. Like trying to live in the moment, but also planning for the future, and a balance which is like hard to talk about and hard to do. Because a lot of people are on extremes of that. And I feel like if you're on the extreme of like living in the moment, if you have 200 years to spend living in the moment, it might be hard. Because then the people who realize earlier realize like 10 years earlier. It's like, or 20 years earlier, which is really interesting. And then there's also like the idea that like when the people who are trying to like solve the aging problem in the current day, their solutions are more like how to postpone like your 20s and 30s and 40s, like after childhood. Like you go into like your mature brain by like around 20-ish, your
Oh.
brain like stops really growing as fast as it does in your young adulthood and childhood. And then aging solutions are trying to prolong that period where your like brain and your body is running very, very well, like in your 20s. So that
Oh.
would be really, really good because then you have time for productive work, but you also have more time for fun and enjoying life.
Yeah, because like there's no urgency to live. I mean, would would there be more people on the earth then if you have a longer life? Could give birth to more people and you could spend more time making more money for your family. I mean, like you and your siblings could be like decades apart. That's so weird.
I don't think people would do that though, because if like you are in your healthy, fun body for like so long, you'd probably want to make the most of it. And when you reach like your chronological 30s, then you'd want to start having kids. But if you like,
Oh.
right? Because like, I mean, personally, my personal opinion, if I lived for 200 years, if I had my mature brain by the time I was 18, I would like probably get like my education, like higher education done, and then like be able to have a steady job. And like I want a career in science, right? So I want to keep doing the work, but then I'll probably have a lot of fun while my body's like still healthy and stuff, and I can do cool things in the world. But then like when you reach like your chronological time, then I want to have kids because you still have like 80 years with your kids.
Oh wow.
Imagine having 80 years with your kids still. Wow.
Would your grandkids have more time with you then?
Not really, because you still have to see your kids be dumb 20-year-olds for like like
Oh,
in their
for
20s for like 30 years. I mean,
how do you handle that kind of stress?
but still you still got to spend more time with them at least. I mean, some adults in their 20s are like that. Most of them are pretty good, decent. We're
I hope.
The way our generation thinks of 20-year-olds is so bad.
Yeah, we're like, they just skip school, and they just like live in their parents' basements, and they like go to bars at night and like get drunk and drive the car into a tree because they ain't got a driver's license, and they fake their age. They're actually 18.
Well, that's 18-year-olds, and it's also not all 20-year-olds. So I mean, we have a very twisted idea of our okay, most of us have a very twisted idea of like, I have no idea. I have no idea where I'm going with this. We're so off topic. Anyway, well, that's like our discussion on what would happen if we could live for 200 years.
That's scary.
Yeah.
ideas. It's very different. It sounds like, at first it sounds very cool, but like then you have to suffer more. So I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so now let's get into an even more serious topic, although I don't know if our previous discussion was very serious. But anyways,
It was pretty serious because you can like bring out that philosophy, you know, like I mean it's not really philosophy. I think this one's gonna be more philosophical. So
yeah,
well, let's get into it.
the death penalty. So, what is the death penalty?
Basically the death penalty or like capital punishment as it's called. Um
Okay.
I mean, like it's basically when criminals are sentenced to death, basically for like usually very, very serious crimes that they've committed, like mass murder,
Okay,
very
okay.
horrific murders, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And basically the entire debate on it is like whether it should exist or not. Like, should people be sentenced to death or should they not be sentenced to death? Like there's other punishments like, you know, life in prison without the possibility of parole, you know, stuff like that.
What's parole?
It's basically like parole is basically like you get out on good behavior, like on supervision. Like you're kind
Oh,
of here, I'll look it up. I'll get you like the formal definition. Yeah,
okay.
it's like the release of a prisoner temporarily for a special purpose or permanently before the completion of a sentence on the promise of good behavior.
Also, like it's a way to get out of prison if you improve.
Yeah,
But like, why would they do that?
because some people like it's really dumb in some cases. Like some people really should not be let out, like they are a danger to society. But
Oh,
other people, it's kind of like if they've been sentenced for too long and they're actually doing fine in prison, like they're really not doing anything. But then there are other people, most prisoners, like they're kind of rough, you know, prisons are rough. So, like, if you're getting into fights and stuff, you're not gonna get parole.
oh, okay. That
And
makes
sometimes, like, parole is also like getting like rights to like go out for like in some countries, even you can like go out on holidays. Um,
Oh,
Like it's literally like, oh, it's Christmas. Go spend Christmas with your family now. Like
that's nice. That's
it's
actually
so nice, but not in America. Not that I
oh
know of, at least.
well, this is America.
This is America. Sit in prison, guys. Um,
Yeah,
anyway,
the
that's
death
basically the death
penalty.
penalty.
Yeah. Well, according to international law, you can't use death penalty on people who are younger than 18 years, and you're supposed to only use it for the most serious crimes, like intentionally killing people.
Premeditated murder.
What is premeditated? What?
Premeditated just means like you've thought about it, you've planned it out before you've done it. It's not like a spur of the moment self-defense or insanity thing.
Oh, okay. Some countries have abolished the death penalty last year in 2020. I think 108 of them have completely abolished it, but like in 2020, 483 people were executed, like by death penalty, like worldwide, excluding executions done in China because the number of executions there is classified information. So like, don't know.
Yep. Oh, yeah, those are some interesting stats.
It's quite a lot. Actually, 400 people is how many people are in the world? Like 7 billion?
I think 8 billion.
Oh, yeah, 400 people isn't that much, but it's still like people getting executed, which
Yeah.
unpleasant. But like quite a lot of countries have banned it.
Mhm.
But like the United States banned it?
There's death row exists. Like,
What's that?
oh, it's also known as like condemned row. Okay, Wikipedia says death row, also known as condemned row, is a place in prison that houses inmates awaiting execution after being convicted of a capital crime. This term is also used figuratively to describe the state of awaiting execution, right?
Oh,
And hold on.
that's kind of dumb though. Like, if why don't they just kill them immediately? Like,
Because it's like the the death the death penalty still has a chance of coming back. So like the death penalty does not exist, but if it has a chance of coming back, they will be executed. So
wait, what does
I think that's what it is. Hold on, let me like really see this.
wait? So is the death penalty a thing in the United States or not?
It isn't. I don't think so.
Oh, it isn't.
I mean, only in some states.
Oh, right, states. Oh,
So it's like I think in more the general idea is like what I've seen is that like I guess more democratic states have abolished the death penalty, and some more Republican states have kept it. But about 2/3 of Americans believe in the death penalty and believe in capital punishment, and about 1/3 do not.
that's 2/3 is quite a lot. I thought it would be.
I thought it would be closer to 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay, should we discuss the pros and cons of the death penalty now?
Okay, yeah. So
Okay.
people's reasons for being pro death penalty is that one, death penalty is an important tool for preserving law and order, and it apparently deters crime. It costs less than lifetime and imprisonment, and it honors the victim and comforts grieving families, and it prevents people from causing future tragedies, because like you can't go and kill people if you're dead. Shocker. I know.
Quick thing though, not all people sentenced to death murdered someone. A lot of it's like treason, like you betrayed your country. So
Oh, treason.
yeah, so like it's not really, there's not a victim. The victim is the United States of America, whatever country you live in. It's like it comforts the president. I mean, it doesn't really comfort any family. Like you killed my daughter, so you die. Like stuff like that.
Right,
Not
but
always, at least.
yeah, that, but I feel like should it be that way? Like, should we like take an eye for an eye? Like, is
But we'll get into our personal thoughts later.
okay. But
Okay.
this one, wait, there's one more pro that is very interesting. It says death penalty is society's form of self-defense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's also like people who believe in like religions in which there's like a heaven and a hell, and basically like God kind of decides whether like your fate. So it's not up. So if you didn't do the thing, like you'd go to heaven anyways. You'd be in a good place. You wouldn't be sitting
Right.
in prison. But at the same time, you don't get to enjoy life. Whatever you believe in though. So some people think that like hell is worse than just sitting in prison. Um,
Oh,
so they want to just sentence you to hell instead. Basically, their way of sentencing you to death is basically sentencing you to hell because they believe that you would go to hell for that.
wow. Okay.
Okay, now let's get into the cons. So, some cons is that the justice system is bound to make mistakes. So a lot of people have been falsely executed. And so that's so sad. Like they were just,
Exactly.
that's so sad. And then there's also the fact that like uh for wait, the death penalty actually costs about the same amount if you include legal costs. Like people who have like the option to be sentenced to death, their legal team, like millions of dollars are spent on their legal team because you really don't want to die, you know, because so
Right.
you're gonna get all the help you can get. So technically,
Oh,
also it's all often the people who are on the defense is often a poorer person, so they can't really afford a legal team, so the government anyways has to pay for their legal team. So like
wait.
it's like a public attorney. There's also like another pro is that like, how do I say this? I don't even know how to say this. Um Honestly, a lot of people think religious reasons aren't really a valid defense for like supporting the death penalty, a lot of, because a lot of people believe in a different religion, and like you can totally support death penalty on the basis of your religion, but I don't think like you can't use it as reasons in court. So
Yeah, the court probably doesn't. At least in America, there's like the whole deal of like religion shouldn't play a role in government affairs.
yeah.
So
And another thing is that it is the ultimate denial of human rights when the death penalty is implemented, because it's technically killing someone. At the end of the day, it is killing someone, whether they did it or not. Like they might have done horrific crimes and stuff. And like that kind of does strip them of some of their rights, definitely, because you hurt society. So we hurt
right,
you now. But it's still a denial of basis human rights. Like someone has the right to live, whether it is in prison or in hell, I don't know. But like they have the right to at least be alive. And like it doesn't make sense. It's kind of giving them like peace in a way. They don't have to suffer.
um, well, like I guess it makes sense if you like let them live in like prison where they're like monitored, so like they can't go and like commit more crimes.
Yeah. But I feel like it continues a cycle of violence. It's
Oh,
it's painless. And also if you like kind of make them sit in their misery, then like
that's even
I feel like, in my opinion at least, I feel like that is harsh. I would do not like sitting there in my misery knowing I did something wrong. And there's also people who do things um and they want to die after it because they're like, I'm dying for like my cause, especially terrorists often who are sentenced to death. You're giving them what they want. Like they want to
yeah.
die. Like they don't want to sit in prison. They want to like go to their God, or they want to die for their cause, like their terrible, terrible cause. So do you really want
Yeah,
to like give them what they want in that sense? I
yeah,
feel
like that makes sense. If they want it, then I think it's okay to give it.
I mean, I'm saying it's not okay. Like,
Oh, it's not?
why would we just give them what they want? I want to like make them sit in their misery for what they did. Like,
Oh,
if they're alive and they want to die, then they get to sit and say like, oh my, like, great, now I have to sit in prison after what I did. Because
oh,
like
so they
they thought
can.
that they would die, that they thought that they would get the death penalty, but they aren't because they did something terrible. Especially like you'll see with these terrorist cases that they did something and then they were like, I'm gonna die anyway, so might as well do this for my belief, which is like, and their belief might be like against a certain race of people. It might be against women or against something. And they do these terrible things to these groups of people. And then they think like, I did this for like my religion. I did this for this. Now I'm gonna die for my cause. You know, why would he give that to them? Like that satisfaction to them? Get like let them
Oh,
sit there in prison in their misery. I think
oh, oh, I misunderstood what you were saying. But yeah, I think if staying alive is what would make them reflect and like feel bad for what they did, then probably keep them alive because they did all of those terrible things and they should feel bad.
If they don't feel bad and they don't show remorse, at least they can sit there knowing that like they're not gonna get what they wanted in the end. They're not gonna.
Yeah. For like anti-death penalty, there's like the American Civil Liberties Union said that in a civilized society, we reject the principle of literally doing to criminals what they do to their victims. And like you said before, it sort of like continues the cycle of violence. I wonder if it maybe indirectly sends the message that whenever someone does something like wrong, like something very wrong, then they should just be killed. And like we have like everyday phrases like my parents are gonna kill me. I feel like if you think about that, then it's not like literal, but like the phrase had to have originated from somewhere, from some like societal standards. And I feel like the death penalty might like play into that because a lot of time people aren't sentenced for just reasons.
Yeah, definitely. There's also like when you said that, I kind of brought like a lot of people, a lot of countries especially, they have unjust rules. Um, and being executed for an unjust rules, like there are countries that, like, for example, like have the death penalty for being gay, and people have been put to death after that, like it's come out. So like what if there is an unjust rule that we don't know about at the moment? Like there's not reasoning.
Oh,
Like, and what if people, and if it's not fair to say that like, oh, my country has just rules, my country can have the death penalty. Like it doesn't make sense to say that, because like other countries, especially, there are a lot of unjust rules in that sense, and it's not fair to people who are executed, like saying that they violated these unjust rules in the first place.
yeah,
Yeah.
it like doesn't really help fix the problem. I mean, like, if you like take out a person, there's gonna be like other people who probably are going to commit crimes. Like it's not just this one person that you executed. They're gonna be the only one who's gonna commit a crime. I think death penalty doesn't really do a good job at removing like the root of the problem, which is like why would people go about and commit these terrible crimes?
Yeah. And also I feel like kind of random, like I feel like for those people who committed like truly horrific crimes, like they were serial killers, they committed like really really bad crimes like murders and stuff like that,
Mm.
I think solitary confinement is the way to go for them. Like
Oh,
there's a lot of things against that too, like it really harms mental health, but I'm like they harm the mental health of the victims' families.
right?
Like so many
That's
victims, especially like serial like killers, like they've harmed other people's mental health badly. Like I think they deserve to be in solitary confinement.
uh yeah, like I, there's probably alternatives to the death penalty that might be equally effective or even more effective.
There's also like people who have been falsely accused, if they're sentenced to solitary confinement, that's kind of sucks. Like
Oh, yeah.
But then also the thing is, I feel like solitary confinement is for those people who've killed like multiple people. And like it's really hard to falsely accuse someone who's killed so many people. Like,
the death penalty also sort of raises the question if your life should be taken if you do something wrong. Like, is that all your life is worth? Just what just what good that you can do in like
kind of.
yeah, cause like you're hurting other people. Like you're supposed to live without terribly hurting other people. So I think another question that is brought up would be like, should other people decide if you live or die? Like for like more obvious crimes, like killing a bunch of people. Like, yeah, I think something should be done about you. But
Mm.
for like more like not really sure like what your punishment should be. I'm not sure what kind of crimes those would be because like I don't really of like read a lot of stuff about crimes or anything. But like you probably know.
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
I mean, I feel like for the um like viewers probably already know by now, but I don't really support the death penalty. But my personal opinion. But I feel like the only scenario for which the death penalty is like really valid, which I can really see why people say that, is for people who really have committed like serial murders and like have like each one of them is like horrific, like people like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer. um they're like terrible people, like they're psychopaths. Like they will not feel remorse even if they've sat in prison for like 60 years. They will not feel remorse. They're psychopaths. So it's like for those people, do you really want to, I get it for those people, like yeah, death penalty works for them. But I feel like for
Yeah.
things like treason, I'm like, okay, they betrayed their country. Yes, they didn't kill anyone to our knowledge, did they? Like,
Yeah. Maybe they can just go live in another country.
yeah,
I don't know. They're not.
like I mean, honestly, for like treason, I mean, sometimes treason causes wars, but
Oh, but I feel like maybe an example of a very dumb reason for executing people is like back in like ancient times when like that philosopher proposed that the sun was like the center of the solar system instead of the earth. Everyone was like, how dare you kill him? Like,
that just shows like at that time it seemed just to most
right.
people.
So like would a lot of things that seem just to us now, like I feel like would a lot of them actually be unjust?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that was quite the controversial debate. So now we'll talk about how to balance the numerous aspects of your life, including school/work. I think all of our listeners are in school, but who knows? Family and friends, self-care, and more. Oh, by the way, this is productivity corner. Oh my God. I forgot we forgot to put in like this is productivity corner. Okay. Well, guys, it is productivity corner now. Productivity corner time. I'm ranting.
Okay,
Wonderful.
we're gonna
Okay.
shove ourselves in a corner, be a square today.
Yes. Honestly, for this topic, I feel like I'm so bad at this. Like I'm good at time management, like managing like my extracurriculars and stuff. But like whenever something big happens that ruins my plans, I'm thrown so off track. And like the key is to
Oh,
plan, but I feel like that doesn't always work. Like you need to be flexible in something that is definitely not my strong suit, but like to be to balance life, I feel like you have to be very flexible in ways. And like making goals for socializing sounds really, really dumb, but like just remembering to talk to all of your friends like a few times a day makes it much easier to keep in contact, not like get super absorbed in your work or like completely abandon your work and socialize too much. Like,
Yeah, I think if establishing a routine would probably be like the most helpful way to keep balance like consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Then like your default mode is to, like eat dinner with your family or hang out with your friends on Saturday. So
Yeah.
like you don't have to think about it and it's always there for you. And like also just like writing out, like thinking up a routine, then it's like when it's in front of you, you can like look at what is out of balance and you can it's easier to see how you can like realistically balance everything. Like if you're just sitting there like I don't know, procrastinating on YouTube, not like I do that.
Not like I did that this morning.
Ugh,
Okay.
the struggles. But like,
Yeah,
it's easier to see if you're like actively thinking about it. And like it's harder when you are in a sort of negative state and you need to like remove yourself. Yes. And
yes,
also for like balance, we should probably really learn how to say no when we need to.
definitely.
Cause like you could take on like all of this work or whatever, but like that would mean that you're like taking time away from other aspects of your life, and that is a very easy way to make your life
Yeah, definitely.
unbalanced.
Yeah, for like balancing school and work and extracurriculars and stuff like that, just like make sure not to take on too much. And I feel like something you and I did for the summer was narrowing it down to like 5 projects. And especially like it helps. Like you're
So
not like I was gonna do like 8 projects, but I'm like, that's too much. I like put down the time commitment for all of them. And I'm like, dude, I cannot do like 80 hours a week of extracurriculars. So I narrowed it
mine is
down. Like it depends on the person, the project. So like set like how many hours of like work are you gonna do in the week, and then divide that up among your projects. And then you'll realize that some of your projects you just don't have time for. And like, what's your priority right now?
yeah, like you have a limited time in life. We unfortunately do not have 200 years to spend. We only have 100. So
Sadness.
So like if you really don't need to do this project, I think it'd probably be more worth it to like spend more time on like self-care or like social stuff or like your family. It would make your life more fulfilling because like your life isn't just like one aspect. There's so many parts in your life. And I think that we should make the effort to make all of them decent.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing is we kind of take our family for granted, especially like when like we just kind of like eat dinner with them and like go back and do more work or like go watch YouTube because you wanna. But like I feel like for family time, it's really easy to forget to spend time with your family. And you'll realize like I barely spent any time with my family this week or like this month or this year or the last 10 years, who knows. But like for family time, I feel like it's useful to have a cutoff for work and school related things. Like, so in like, for me at least, in summer, the cutoff for me is like 6, unless I have a class or something after that. Like after that, I spend time with family and nothing else. I mean, if I have time, YouTube, sure, fine. But like if like my family's busy, but like I also have like Sunday chill days in which I do like almost nothing but family time and
Yes,
self-care. Like I'll do like maybe like a couple hours of work because otherwise I'll be bored. But
right. Yeah,
yeah,
like you sort of trick yourself into believing that you might spend a lot of time with your family because like you see them so often, and like you're like maybe you said hi like 4 times throughout the day, and it like feels like a lot. Like you talk to them 4 times a day, but they weren't meaningful interactions.
yeah,
So
we need those meaningful interactions in life.
yeah, and I feel like if you're feeling overwhelmed, you should just ask for help. It doesn't make you a weak person or anything. And I'm sure there's lots of people out there who'd be willing to help you. It just makes your life so much easier. Because, like,
Definitely.
I understand, because, like, personally, I don't really like asking people for help. Like I think like I can do it by myself or like trick myself into believing like I should be able to handle this all
Mm,
by myself. But it's really okay if I don't. I feel like other people might be more able to see the unbalance in your life than you, especially if they're like a family member. Like,
definitely. Okay, so that concludes our talk
mhm,
about balance in life. Basically, that's what it should be called, and that concludes our productivity corner segment.
the time has come, everybody. Now we will discuss the highlights of this episode. What are the colors of the school subjects?
I have this debate with my friends so often. It's weird.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, I mean, especially when we were in school, like not in online school at all, but like I think I've had it like a few times. But in school, I feel like because I color code my tags in my binder and like notebooks based on the color I think that subject is. And for me, I feel I associate colors to everything, to like people, to like stuff. It's really weird. But
No, it's cool.
yeah. But then so that's why I feel like I always ask people. It's something that I ask people when like I first meet them, like what's the color of like what's your color? Like what's instead of asking someone their favorite color, I kind of ask them like what's your color, then I realize that they don't know what I mean. But but yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Is that sounds like some sort of like superpower? You can see everyone's color.
Yeah. And
Well then,
what do you think ELA is? Like just ELA reading, writing stuff.
English.
Yeah, English.
Said, I'd say it's like a pale sunflower yellow.
Really?
Yeah, I think it should like humanities. I think I associate them more with the warm colors and like it's like for me I like enjoy like reading English and just like analyzing it and like I feel like the pale yellow color is sort of like welcomes you, you know? It just sort of like gently like beckons you to like come and explore. And
Yeah.
like pale yellow is really you can get it dirty really easily. So
It's
implications
interesting.
about English class here.
I don't even know why, but I associate English and like ELA with red. Like all,
Red.
yeah, not really all humanities. I don't think all humanities are red for me. It's just generally like reading and like analyzing, read like stuff. And writing is actually technically like more of like a dark aqua color, like a dark
Oh,
turquoise for me.
yeah.
Writing is like a dark turquoise, but like reading and analyzing is more of a red. I don't know how. Just
Is it like lipstick red or like dark? red or like
It's like bright red.
bright red?
I mean, like, not really all humanities. It's just like reading and analyzing and stuff. Writing is like a dark turquoise, and like other, like for me, history and like social studies, like history plus psychology. Not psychology is more of a purple. Like,
Oh.
yeah, psychology is psychology. I've always had a tough time. I feel like sometimes I feel like it's a very light blue, and sometimes I feel like it's a dark purple, like a darker purple. But then I feel like history and social studies is yellow.
Oh, we're flipped then, because I think history is red.
Oh,
Because blood.
oh, oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow.
You know, and for psychology, I think that it's like a pale gray because of like gray matter in your brain.
Oh my God.
It's a very literal interpretation.
Wow, interesting. Anyway, what's math for you?
It's green like a plant
Really?
because I feel like green is a good color for symbolizing logic and like math is like everywhere. Like how like nature is everywhere.
Science is everywhere. Isn't green biology for you?
It is not.
What's biology for you?
I did not think that far. Ah,
Biology and like science in general for me is green, but like I feel like biology is specifically is green, and then chemistry is pink, and then physics is dark gray, almost black.
oh, I didn't think of like the sub-subjects. Like science for me is a deep blue because it seems like an
Oh.
inquisitive color and you just get like sucks in when you look at it and you just want to know more.
Oh, math for me is a deep blue because blue symbolizes sadness. And I feel like
Oh,
also math has been in a blue folder for me since the second grade. So and that's kind of like my own personal thing, I guess. But then I feel like math, like biology is takes green because plants and stuff, and like science has always taken green for me, just because like plants and nature, science around us. So that's like biology is green. And then math is just blue, I guess. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of a depressing color, and math makes me depressed.
oh,
Yes.
poor child.
Yes, poor me. Yeah.
I for biology, I'm thinking about it, and I think it's it's brown like dirt, you know?
Interesting. What do you see chemistry as? I feel like chemistry is pink for me. I don't know. Whenever I see like icons and stuff like relating to chemistry, they're often pinkish. I feel like I've been like associated by I associated pink with chemistry because of society's marketing. But
Oh,
um right, it, I don't even know why it's pink. It just is in my head.
for a
Like a
chemist?
bright hot pink.
Hot pink? Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you were saying like pale pink.
No,
What?
hot pink.
Hot? Who out there is making hot pink chemistry icons? I need to speak to this manager here to
Let's
see.
just search up chemistry and see the images that comes up. They're
For
so
real?
pink. Like, have you seen the periodic table? It's so pink,
Oh, it's so neon.
right?
Now it's influencing what I'm thinking of chemistry as, because originally I was gonna say it that I think of it that it's like clear. It's like clear like a test tube.
Fair.
Or like steamy white. Cause like there's always like that like steam coming out of like the bottles in like the stock images of like people in a lab.
I don't know. Biochemistry is purple, or purplish.
Biochemistry looks like. I can hear colors now. Oh,
Oh gosh, yes. I associate colors with songs too.
really?
Yeah.
Biochemistry. For me, I feel like it's like a very deep, like navy blue.
Navy blue. That's right. I can see that.
Yeah, physics.
Physics for me is just really, really dark gray, like almost black, but it is not black yet. Like
Oh yeah.
it deals with like space a lot. And then it also deals with like I think of like astrophysics a lot when I think of physics for some reason. Like, and then I also think of particle physics, and both of those things are like very dark, like matter in general. So
Oh, I can see that. Then what about like computer science?
that's also, I feel like that's a really, really like grayish blue. It's more blue. It's on the more blue side, but it's also very grayish in a way.
Oh, when I just started talking about like the colors of the subjects, I just forget like all of the colors that I know. Like I'm still contemplating physics. Like I don't know color.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think that international relations would just be a bunch of colors exploded together?
Exactly. I feel like it's gonna be like it's like a collage. It's like paint splatter, like all of the paint splatter of all the colors that exist on this one big board.
Wow. What about like business?
Oh, business. I feel like for me, business is a navy blue, and law is brown.
Brown University. Oh no, brown like a color. Oh my god, my brain is not functioning today. Oh,
Like Brown University. I love Brown University. I mean,
really?
it is made up of so many like rich kids, a lot of rich kids, but like pretentious rich kids. Not all rich kids are pretentious. Not all rich kids are pretentious, but Brown is made up of a lot of pretentious rich kids. But Brown is so nice because they feel it's very humanities oriented in many ways. So I feel like it's in a small little town. It's on Rhode Island, and it's like it's such a historic town. It has such pretty little places in it. And then they don't even have majors. They have concentrations. They're that nice to you.
Wow. If I ever ship a package to Rhode Island, it's because I knocked macaron unconscious and stuffed her in a box and shipped her to Brown University.
Imagine.
I know how to chop people like pork chops.
Please don't dismember me. Oh my god. We finished our second episode of the Warped Eye podcast.
After discussing such deep questions about life and society and dismembering people,
Oh
let's
no.
hope we don't.
We're literally promoting violence again.
Oh, not again. Not this.
We talked about the death penalty for a good half an hour. We're so promoting violence.
We got what? Oh my god, we're such hypocrites. I'm sorry. You see, we're already going into an existential crisis.
Let's see how bad this will get.
Huh?
Let's see how bad this existential crisis will get.
It's okay. Next time, we're gonna show up on the podcast as a horse and a sea of seagrass and some cattails, and we're gonna eat all of your chocolate cake.